Hi friends, it's Cindy Lyon from Greetings and Memories, and today I'm going to demo one of our one-sheet wonders for you. If you're not familiar with one-sheet wonders, what they are is a template for cutting one sheet of paper, in this case a 12 by 12 sheet of designer series paper, into pieces to create multiple projects. This time we are going to have 10 of our standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 cards when we're done. So you can see the 10 different designs, and we are using the You Are Amazing stamp set from the January to June 2021 mini catalog, but you can certainly use any versatile greeting set that you have. And for these samples that were pre-made, I used one of the patterns from the Field and Flower designer series paper. And again, those are double-sided, so we have the floral on the one side and then more subtle patterns on the second side. That is a product that is available as a free gift during celebration through the end of February 2021. So, and they do come with 2 of each design in that pack. That's what I used for these samples. And then for the demonstration today, I am going to use, oh, we get the right ones here. I'm going to use our Paper Blooms paper, which is also a design from the 2021 celebration catalog, something that you can get free with any $50 purchase. Again, those are double-sided, and you get 2 of each design in the package. For tonight's demo, I'm going to use this pattern here, and let me move the others out of the way. I will be using white cardstock card bases again. And then this time, instead of using black ink as I did in the other samples, I'll be using Night of Navy ink. So let me move these samples out of the way and we'll get started. In addition to your one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock, you are also going to need 5 sheets of 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock to make your card bases. Again, I'm using the thick white cardstock, but if you would prefer to use another color that coordinates with the pattern paper that you've chosen, feel free to do that. And then you're also going to need a few scraps of white to stamp your greetings. And if you are using the You Are Amazing stamp set that I have used, you will need 1 piece that is 3 inches by 4 1/4 inches. And don't worry, I will put all this information in the comments so that you'll have that later. You'll also, so that was, you're gonna need that 3 inch by 4 1/4 inch piece that we'll use for a layer. Then you're going to need some scraps 1/2 inch wide that we'll stamp greetings on. You'll need a little scrap that's 1 inch wide, and then some 2 inch wide scraps as well for stamping our greetings. And then there are a few of the cards where we'll be stamping the greeting directly onto the card, but some of them we will be layering. So those are the supplies that you are going to need. Move these aside for a moment. And for creating those card bases, we're going to cut some of them in what we sometimes call hot dog cards, and some of them as hamburger cards. And what that means is that for 2 of these sheets, or 4 cards, we're going to use the scoring blade first and score it at 5 1/2 inches. And then we're going to turn it and cut at 4 1/4 inches. And that gives us 2 of our hot dog fold card bases. And we'll do that again. Scoring at 5 1/2 and cutting at 4 1/4. And then for our remaining 3 sheets, we're going to do just the opposite. We're going to make our hamburger fold cards. So we'll score at 4 1/4 inches and cut at 5 1/2 inches. And we're going to do that with 3 sheets. So let me pause a second here so you don't have to watch that. Okay, we have our card bases prepared. Just want to give that a nice crisp fold with my bone folder. So we have those ready. We'll set those aside for a minute. I'm going to grab my scraps here and we will go ahead and stamp those greetings. So let me get my check my notes here, make sure I get everything that we need. Okay, to start off with, we're going to take our 1/2 inch wide scrap and we're going to take the congrats stamp and ink that up with the Night of Navy. And we're going to stamp that 4 times on this strip here. Okay, and we'll cut those apart in a minute. And then I am going to grab that 1 inch strip and I'm going to stamp it with the thanks stamp. We only need 1 of those. Oops, I had that a little too close to the top there. It's hard to line it up without leaning my head into the frame. So, do that again. There, that looks better. And then we need to take some of our 2 inch wide scraps and stamp the Hip Hip Hooray stamp twice. Make sure that that's evenly inked. Like I said, it's hard for me to make sure I'm getting it straight and even without leaning into the shot there. Okay, then I'm going to take more of my 2 inch, whoops, and of course I just smeared that one because I touched it before the ink was dry, so I'll have to flip that over and stamp the 3 cheers again on the other side. Okay, so I redid the Hip Hip Hooray 3 cheers for you that I accidentally smeared. And we're going to go ahead and do Happy Birthday next. And we're doing that on another 2 inch wide scrap. Oh, get that evenly inked there. So we do that on another 2 inch scrap. And it just fits widthwise there. And then I realized that I made a mistake because the next one you're going to use the speech bubble, and that is just a little bit too big to fit on a 2-inch scrap. So you're going to need to grab another scrap of white. Going to need to be at least 2 1/4 inches. I'm not even sure what size I grabbed here. I just grabbed a piece. But now we're going to take our speech bubble and we're going to ink that up and make sure we get it evenly inked. There we go. And now, before you stamp it onto your white, we're going to stamp off with that because we want it to be a lighter color. I'm going to stamp off twice, actually, because I only want a little bit of color with this. Let's see how we get that faded, almost looks like a denim blue, doesn't it? And now we're going to take our happy birthday stamp and ink that one up again and stamp that in our speech bubble. And then you'll want to cut that one out. And that's everything that we need to stamp for now. Like I said, there will be a couple of cards where we'll stamp directly on the card, but I'm going to close my ink up and move it out of the way. And I'm going to turn the camera off again for a second while I cut all my greetings apart. You don't need to watch me do that. Okay, so now that we got the kind of boring, tedious part of the project done, we have our card bases all prepped. We pre-stamped what we could, and I cut out that speech bubble. This one, I have the banner pick-a-punch, so I used that to put banner ends on there. But if you don't have that punch, you can certainly just snip that with a pair of scissors. So all that stuff's ready, and now we're going to move on to the part you've been waiting for, where we get into the One Sheet Wonder template. So again, I'm using one of the double-sided papers from Paper Blooms. And this is the template that I'll be using for cutting. Now is a good time to go ahead and take a screenshot if you want to do that, but I will post that image in the comments so you don't have to worry about trying to write everything down or anything now. And I'm going to set this to the side a little bit here and start cutting. And what we need to do is we're going to cut this 12-inch paper into 3 4-inch wide strips to start, and then we'll go on from there. So let's start with that. Cut that at 4 inches. And then go ahead and cut it at 4 inches again so that we have our 3 strips. And now I'm going to set these aside. And we'll start with this top strip. I'll bring the template back into the frame so you can see it. We're going to start with the top strip here. So our first cut is going to be 4 by 3 3/4. So there's my first piece. And then my next one is 4 by 1/2. Oops, it's easier to do that the other way. And now we're going to cut a piece that is 5 1/4 inches long by 4 inches, but now we're going to rotate that and cut that in half at 2 inches. And set those aside. And then our remaining piece here, we are going to take that and we're going to cut off a 1/2 inch. Then we are going to cut off 3/4 of an inch. And then that's going to leave us with a piece that is 1 1/4 inches wide. So that's the first top section. And if you're setting that over to the side, you want to lay that out like this. So you have your 4 by 3 3/4, 4 by 1/2, 2 that are 5 1/4 by 2, and then you have your 1/2 inch, your 3/4 inch, and your 1 1/4 inch piece. And now we're moving on to the second row. And in that second row, we're going to do a 4 by 2 3/4, and disregard the fact that I measured incorrectly there, because those are all going to be 1 inch strips, the same width. And then that's going to leave you with a piece that's 5 1/4 inches by 4. So like I said, we'll take that second 4 inch wide strip and we'll cut the first piece at 2 3/4. And then we're going to cut 1 inch by 4, and it's just easier to turn it around and cut it this way. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 1 inch strips, and then that's leaving us with a piece that is 5 1/4. So that takes care of our middle 4 inch wide strip. And now for our bottom strip, we're going to be cutting 4 by 3 3/4, 4 by 5 1/4, and then we're going to have a piece on the end that's going to be 4 by 3 that we'll cut down further. So let's start with our first piece that's 4 by 3 3/4. And then our next one that's 4 by 5 1/4. And now we have a piece left that is 4 inches by 3 inches, and we're going to turn that and cut it in half into 2 2-inch by 3 inch pieces. And then we're going to cut this at 1 inch. So that we have a 1 by 2 piece and a 2 by 2 piece. And now we're going to take the other one and we're going to cut it on the opposite side. Actually, so it needs to go that way. We're going to cut 1 inch off of the opposite side, so that we have a 2 inch by 1 inch piece and a 2 by 2 piece. So those are what we have cut. And now I'm going to turn the camera off again a second so I can let my dog out because she's scratching at the door. And then we'll be back to start putting the cards together. Okay, so card 1, we're actually going to start with that last little bit that we cut down here in the bottom corner. So we're going to take those 4 pieces where we have the 2 2 by 2 inch squares and the 1 by 2 inch pieces. And you can see from my sample here, we're going to flip those over so that you're getting the contrasting design. And we're going to use one of our Hamburger Fold cards, and so that it has the fold along the left-inch side. And actually, that's not laying very flat. I need to give it another good crease with my bone folder to get it to lay flat. There we go. Now it's laying flat. So we're gonna put these on. Whoops, switching them around there. Put these on in this fashion. I'm using my Stamp and Seal adhesive. If you want to use the multi-purpose liquid glue, you can do that too, whichever you're more comfortable using. And I want to kind of try to get that evenly spaced. And now I'm using white card bases here just to simplify matters, make it easier, but you can certainly use colored cardstock if you like. So if you want to mix it up so that they're not all the same color. That Seaside Spray blue would have been a pretty background for this one, or either of those pinks. But okay, and now we're going to take that pre-stamped Happy Birthday, and you can adhere it straight onto your card, or you can go ahead and use some Stampin' Dimensionals, which is what I'm going to do. And put one of those in each corner. And position this on here. And there we go. Card 1 is done. So moving on to card 2, we're going to use one of our 4 by 5 1/4 pieces. So we're going to move right on over next there, and again I'm going to flip that over and use the reverse side. I'm going to use one of my cards that has the fold along the 5 1/2 inch side on the left, and this one's just real simple. Just add a little adhesive in each corner here. And see if I can get this straight without leaning my head into the camera. And then that's where we're going to take 3 of those congrats that we previously stamped and cut. And those, as I said, we stamped that on a 1/2 inch wide strip, and then when I cut them down, I think they ended up being about 2 1/4 or thereabouts. And we're going to use dimensionals here again. And you'll see in my sample, I purposely did not make those straight. I purposely put them a little bit askew. Just makes it easier that way rather than trying to line everything up perfectly. And there we go. There's card 2 done. And moving on to card 3. Let's see, where are we going? Oh, we're going to the pieces in the upper left corner there. We're taking that piece that's 4 inches by 3 3/4. And then we're taking that piece that's 4 by 1/2 inch. And those are the pieces that we're going to use for card 3. And this time we're using one of our hot dog fold cards. So let me find those here on the bottom of the stack. So yeah, we want that with the fold at the top at 4 1/4 inches wide. So like I said, we're going to start with our 4 by 3 3/4 inch piece of pattern paper with the main pattern on the top section there. And then we're going to flip that 1/2 inch wide piece over and use the contrasting side. And then this is one of the cards where we're stamping directly on the card. So we're going to grab that "You Are Amazing" stamp and our navy ink. Get that evenly inked, and then we'll stamp it on the bottom right. And there is card number 3 finished. And then moving on to card number 4, we're going to use one of our strips from the top row there that is 5 1/4 inches by 2 inches. And again, we're going to use one of our cards that has the fold on the 5 1/2 inch side and put that at the top. We'll just add some adhesive to each corner there. And kind of more or less center this on the card. Doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of eyeball it. And then again, we're going to be stamping directly on the card. So I'm going to grab my navy ink pad and my thanks stamp. And stamp that towards the right-hand side. And there is card number 4 done. As I stick my finger in my navy ink pad. Okay. And then next is card number 5. And we are going to use one of our cards with the 5 1/2 inch crease at the top. We're going to grab one of our 4 by 5 1/4 inch pieces. And let's see, I think we used the blue side last time, so I'll use the pink side this time on card number 5. Try to get that on there straight. And try to get even margins there. And then this is where we're going to use our speech bubble that says happy birthday. With some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. And I'll pop one right in the middle there too. So there is card 5, and we are halfway done. Now for card 6, we're going to use another one of our cards with the crease on the 4 1/4 side. And for this one, we're going to cut a little bit off here. So I don't know if you can see that the thanks is on the bottom back part of the card, and just that part with the patterned paper opens up. So we're going to take that and we're going to cut it down to 9 1/2 inches. And then we just have that little scrap for some future project. So now we're going to go down here and we're going to grab the piece of patterned paper from the lower left corner there. It's 4 by 3 3/4. And I happen to like that blue side better because blue is my favorite color. So that's the side I'm going to put on top. Do a little better job of getting that straight there. Okay, and then that's where we're going to take that little banner that says thanks. And again, we'll pop some Stampin' Dimensionals on there. I love these things. I use them a lot. So it's just such a simple thing that adds a little extra to your card rather than having everything flat and two-dimensional. So just pop that on there. And there we go. Card number 6 is done. And now for card number 7, we're going to do that with the fold on the long side on the left. And this is the one where we're going to use that extra little layer I told you to cut. Remember that? What were the dimensions on that again? That is 3 inches by 4 1/4 inches. And this is where we're going to go up here. We're going to grab those 3 strips from the top right corner. And we're going to adhere those on our layering piece here. And it doesn't matter whether you put the wide piece on the left or the right, whichever way you want to do it. And then you're going to flip the middle one over and have the 2 on the sides match. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick down, well, never mind. Take that back. I was thinking it might be easier to get them evenly spaced if I put the middle one down first, but I don't think that's, actually we're going to want to put that middle one down last. So let me do this one and try to get that even on the 3 sides. And then we'll do this piece next. Again, getting that even on the 3 sides. And then we'll stick the middle piece down last. And so then that way, we do that one last, we can make sure we get it evenly spaced on both sides. Although I have it a little bit crooked, so let me try that again. There. Oh, still not straight. It's because I didn't have the bottom edge straight. There we go, that looks better. And now I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this layer. And yes, I have a pile of hexagons on my desk now. And did I get, yep, I got them all. Okay. And now as you can see on the previously made card, I want to place that fairly close to the top edge so that I have enough room to put the greeting below. So stick that down. And then this is another one where we're stamping directly on the card using navy ink and the You Are Amazing stamp from the You Are Amazing set. And there is card number 7 finished. So let's move on to card number 8. And this is where we're going to grab our 4 1-inch wide strips from the middle of our 12 by 12 sheet. And we are using card with the fold at the top along the 5.5-inch side. And a little tip for getting these reasonably evenly spaced, because you can see they're not perfect, but we are going to start in the middle and work our way out. And it's totally up to you here if you want them all to be the same side showing, or if you want to, you can certainly, you know, flip some of those over and mix it up, whatever works for you. So you can see I kept them all on the bold pattern side on the sample I made ahead of time, but I'm going to go ahead and flip some of those over this time. And I'm going to start in the middle. Oh, and I even have hexagons sticking to my adhesive. Okay, I am going to use the measurements on my grid paper here to help me get that centered. So if we have a 5.5-inch wide card, the middle of that is going to be 2 1/4. So I'm going to do that a little bit past 2 1/4 and hope I'm getting it reasonably straight. What is it? Okay. And that, I did something wrong because that does not look right. I must have measured something wrong. Oh, because half of 5.5 is 2 3/4, not 2 1/4. I never claimed math was my strong suit. Okay, let's try that again. We'll go just past. All right. Slow down a second, Cindy. Okay, 5.5, half of that is 2 3/4, which is here. So I want to put that in between the 2 3/4 and the 3. And that looks like it's where it's supposed to be. Okay, and now I have this piece that already has the adhesive on it to put here. And the last one. And then this is where we're going to use that 4th congrats piece. Again, with the Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of it. And there is card number 8 done. And now moving on to card number 3, we're going to use that chunk from our middle row that was cut 4 by 2 3/4. And we are going to use a piece that opens along the top there. Or actually, with the fold at the top. And I'm going to use the blue side again. Apply adhesive to the pink side. And get that more or less centered. And then we're going to use the Hip Hip Hooray 3 cheers for you. And now something that I didn't do this time that I did on my sample is I stamped the greeting again and cut out the word 3 and then adhered that with an extra layer of dimensionals. Not sure why the word 3. I'm thinking maybe hooray or cheers would have been more appropriate. But anyway, we're not even going to do that this time. I'm just leaving it plain and adhering it with Stampin' Dimensionals, of course.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
No, Alexa, I wasn't talking to you.
Okay.
So there we go. Card number 9 is done. And let's move on to card 10. So we have our last strip of patterned paper is that 5 1/4 by 2 inch piece from the top row. And you know what? Before we adhere that, we're going to stamp with our star stamp. And you can see on the sample here, I did sort of an arc from the corner towards the center and back towards the bottom corner. And there's no specific precise way of doing that. Just kind of stamp them on there. We rotate it with each stamp so they're not all facing the same direction. And something like that. And now we can take our paper and adhere it. And again, I'm going to make that pink side the back and let that blue floral pattern show on the top. So I think that just goes a little better with those stars, in my opinion. Stick that down, and then we're using our other Hip Hip Hooray with Stampin' Dimensionals. And then center this on our card. So there is card 10 done. So go back through those. And just to recap, there's card 10, card 9, and again I did the pre-made samples were done with a sheet of paper from Flower and Field. This was the floral side. This is the reverse side of that same piece. So yeah, those were done with Flower and Field. These are done with paper blooms, and both of those are papers that you can choose as a free celebration reward. So there we go, cards 10 and card 9. Here's card 8 again. You can see here I kept the papers all the same way. Here I flipped some of them over. Card 7, same thing, 3 strips, flip the middle one over. Card 6, and here I used the banner pick-a-punch to punch the ends, so you can snip that with your scissors. And card 5 was where we did some stamping off with that speech bubble to give it a lighter background, and then the full ink for the happy birthday greeting. That was card number 5. Card 4, Card 3. Again, flipping, so we're showing both sides of that patterned paper. Card 2. And card 1. So there you go. There's 10 cards for a variety of occasions using the You Are Amazing. So we have congrats, you are amazing, thanks, and happy birthday, and hip hip hooray, which I guess would also be a version of congrats. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Please do share your creations in the comments. You know, any 12 by 12 patterned paper, any versatile greeting set, whatever colors of cardstock and ink you like to coordinate with your paper. Like I say, I just used the, one color of ink and the white cardstock here just for simplicity's sake. But that template can be used in a variety of ways. Again, I will post the image of the template in the comments along with your supply list. So thanks again for joining me. If you have any questions, shoot me a message. This is Cindy from Greetings and Memories, and the stamp set and papers and cardstock and ink can all be ordered from cindylyon.stampinup.net. Thanks.